Hello everyone, Pastor Howie here with another edition of Readings and Thoughts from the Scriptures. We find ourselves still in the book of Acts, in Acts chapter 23, and today in this video looking at verses 23 through 35, which the NIV heading entitles this passage, Paul transferred to Caesarea. Now, this is interesting. Because it contains the fact that the boss guy, the leader of the Roman band in Jerusalem, took the advice of Paul's nephew, who said that the Jews were planning to conspire to kill Paul under the subterfuge of asking that the commander of the army, the Jewish contingency in Jerusalem, would bring him to the Sanhedrin again so that they might ask him some more questions. And then they planned, 40 men had made a vow that they will neither eat nor drink till they had killed Paul, and they were planning to ambush the Romans as well as get to Paul and kill him. So that's what we see here. We see the result of that. The commander, whose name is told to us in this passage of Scripture, we see him writing a letter to Felix, who was the regional governor of the Roman Empire that Jerusalem fell under. And he lived in Caesarea Philippi, and so they're planning to escort Paul to Felix, and so that he's not taken by surprise, this Roman commander sends a letter to him. It's interesting, since we've already read how Paul was originally detained by the Romans, thinking that he was the focus of the riot that was occurring in Jerusalem, and perhaps the instigator of the riot. They took him into prison, or took him into custody. They arrested him, and they were going to interview him by way of scourging, whipping, 39 lashes, and as they were preparing to do that, he asked a simple question: is it lawful for you to beat a Roman citizen who is uncondemned? And that caused a change then in the commander's point of view, and so Paul was saved from the whipping. He was saved from being beaten to death by the crowd, and we'll see how he'll be saved from these 40 men who made a vow to not eat or drink until Paul had been killed. Apparently, 40 men starved to death, as we'll see. So, Acts chapter 23, verses 23 through 35, Paul transferred to Caesarea. The saga of Paul's trip to Rome continues. Then he called 2 of his centurions and ordered them. Now, centurion had charge over 100 soldiers, so the commander had several hundred soldiers at his disposal in Jerusalem. Anyway, he says, get ready a detachment of 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, and 200 spearmen. That's, 2 plus 2, that's 470 crack Roman troops, to go to Caesarea at 9 tonight. Provide horses for Paul so that he may be taken safely to Governor Felix. So you got 40 Jewish men conspiring to ambush the Romans and kill Paul, and so the commander is supplying 470 470 crack Roman troops, cavalry and spearmen. Yeah, so he's pretty safe, I would think. Anyway, the commander writes this letter, verse 25. He wrote a letter as follows. And here we find his name. Claudius Lysias, to his excellency, Governor Felix, greetings. This man was seized by the Jews, and they were about to kill him, but I came with my troops and rescued him. See the spin? He puts the best light on himself. For I had learned that he is a Roman citizen. I wanted to know why they were accusing him, so I brought him to their Sanhedrin. I found that the accusation had to do with questions about their law. And remember, the Romans didn't really care about enforcing Roman customs and Roman law on people they conquered. They cared about peace and getting resources out of the people. So their plan was not to be oppressive. Their plan was to let people have the freedom to go about their business as long as they paid their taxes and provided resources for the Roman Empire. Anyway, the accusation had to do with questions about their law, but there was no charge against him that deserved death or imprisonment. So it was a matter of philosophy or politics or whatever Claudius Lysias perceived. When I was informed of a plot to be carried out against the man, I sent him to you at once. I also ordered his accusers to present to you their case against him. So Claudius Lysias is doing the right thing to get Paul out of danger. He's also doing the self-serving thing by kind of spinning the story so he looks like the hero in this story, which in a sense he is. And thirdly, he's writing a letter. Claudius is writing a letter and providing for more than 10 times the number of people who may try to ambush the Romans and kill Paul. So the soldiers, carrying out their orders, took Paul with them during the night and brought him as far as Antipatris. The next day, that's just a place on the way to Caesarea. The next day, they let the cavalry go on with him. So he still is with a crack Roman unit while they returned to the barracks. When the cavalry arrived at Caesarea, they delivered the letter to the governor and handed Paul over to him. The governor read the letter and asked what province he was from, Paul, learning he was from Cilicia. So he is, remember, Saul of Tarsus was Paul before he was converted and became known as Paul the Apostle. Tarsus is in the Roman province of Cilicia. So he's from Cilicia, and Governor Felix had control over a large region of the Eastern Mediterranean and Middle East. And so he said, I will hear your case when your accusers get here. Then he ordered that Paul be kept under guard in Herod's palace, but not jailed, not necessarily chained. And so we see the Roman Empire, by the providence of God, preserving the gospel by preserving the apostle to the Gentiles, who is now going to end up in Rome, where he will continue to preach and teach the gospel. So that's what we see here in this video, and whatever spin you put on it, may it be to the glory of Christ. Until next time.